What's going on, everyone, and thank you for tuning into episode 1 of the CC Sports Show. I'm your host, Ryan Cosner.
And I'm PJ Ciocca.
And the CC Sports Show is just a sports radio talk show where we, basically just go over all kinds of sports news from around all the different leagues. And this week, specifically this episode, we're going to be focusing on the NFL, NBA, and the MLB. So, first topic I think we wanted to talk about was just the Giants organization as a whole and how it's kind of in shambles right now with the firing of head coach McAdoo and Jerry Reese as well. As a Giants fan, it's tough to see, but I know you're a 49ers fan. What do you think about the whole situation? What's your take?
I mean, being a fan of a team who has literally done the same exact thing the Giants are doing, I think it's a good idea. Getting new faces in there to work with the players, especially after they were supposed to have a spectacular year with all the talent that they have with the signing of Brandon Marshall. I think it was the right move. In a way, it's a good fresh start for them. No team really goes from being up here to down here in the season. So I think getting a new face in there that works well with the players is exactly what the Giants need.
And, especially dealing with it kind of seemed like it was the blame game a lot of the time. And McAdoo was kind of, from what it seemed, he was putting a lot of the blame on Eli. And you heard, obviously, and the whole country heard about Eli's streak coming to an end because of the Giants' decision to sit him and to start Geno Smith.
Which was brutal, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't know why a team would ever bench their starting quarterback like that. I understand they're having a bad year. They are having a bad year, but you can't ruin a guy's streak of 210 games just to bench him. And then, for what I hear, he's starting on Sunday.
Yeah.
So
not even necessarily about the fact that it was a 210-game streak, and it was the first time I saw in NFL history since 1997 that a Manning, between him and his brother, wasn't starting in a football game. And it was just, it seemed like what Eli could do, and we've seen him be great, and we know that he's a future Hall of Famer and whatever else, but just for somebody to put such a blame on somebody for just such an overall and team-based issue is just messed up to me.
Which is where McAdoo was in the wrong. You don't blame your starting quarterback for your team's turmoil. Yeah. I mean, in a way, certain teams, obviously, the quarterback's the biggest part. You see it in New England, Tom Brady. They're an unbelievable team, and you can arguably say that it's because of the way Tom Brady handles himself, the way he plays the game. So for him to put the blame on anyone, you can't be doing that. It's a team effort. You win as a team, you lose as a team, and I just think that benching him and then all of a sudden now you're starting him again, I just think that's a pointless thing to do.
Yeah, and honestly, just starting him the next week, like you said, just pointless is the perfect way.
What point are you getting across here?
I mean, there was an interview in the locker room with Eli, which we'll show you guys in a second. Just explaining how there was an offer to have Eli start the game and then for about a half and then come out and have Geno or Webb come in. But I just don't understand the starting of Geno Smith specifically. If we're going to go with a move like this, the Giants are going to go with a move like that. Why not start the third string quarterback Davis Webb, where people don't know anything about him, and give him a shot because maybe he could potentially be the future of the Giants. We know what we're going to get, and they know what they're going to get with Geno Smith. They've seen him in the past. They've seen what he's done in his starts.
He's not the answer.
And his contract's up after this year, so you're really going to tarnish the streak and bench your starter for the past number of years for somebody who his contract is up to see if you're going to re-sign him. It just, in my opinion, it didn't make any sense. But
no, I agree.
Yeah.
I just don't think that was the right move. I mean, you have injuries all over the place, but even starting him again, why even start him? You're getting a draft pick, a high draft pick. Why risk injury? You got people like Sterling Shepard, Jason Pierre-Paul, who are both injured, who are going to come back Sunday, and then risk themselves as injury furthermore that could potentially affect next season, which is where you guys are coming.
Yeah.
Like, you guys are going into knowing that you're getting all these guys back, and they can have a really good team, but now what? If you get hurt in the garbage weeks of the season where you're not going anywhere, what's that doing for the team?
Right. It's a messy situation.
It's just not a good situation.
Here's a look at the interview with Eli in the locker room.
You said you don't like it, but didn't you say you also had the right to say, look, I want to start?
Yeah, I mean, I just didn't think that's, hey, you started knowing you're going to come out of a game, to keep a streak alive, maybe. That's not what it's about, it's not a preseason game where you're going to play start to the half, what's the next week, a quarter, a series. That's not fair. It's not fair to me, not fair to Gino. That's not how you play. You play to win. When you're named this, starting quarterback, you think it's your job to go win the football game, and you're just going to play a little bit. I didn't want to, I didn't feel that was the right way to play.
Yeah, that video was tough to watch for me personally as a fan. You could tell Eli was like on the verge of tears talking about it, but he's right. When he's named the starting quarterback of a team, he expects to go out there and start and try and get a win. And just playing a half to continue the streak, he said himself he didn't think it was the right way to play. And I respect him for deciding to do that. It's very sad to see it end, but got to move on, and we'll see how the Giants fare.
Yeah,
in the next couple
definitely
games
full of
next
emotions there in that interview,
Yeah.
which you hate to see from such a respected player like Eli Manning.
Yeah.
But on top of it, next topic, sticking with the football, has the NFL changed? Not in the sense that, the gameplay and everything, but all these, for example, the Steelers-Bengals game Monday night. You got a tremendous player like Ryan Shazier who gets carted off, making a football play, making the tackle. That's just very unfortunate luck. I wish the best in his recovery. He was diagnosed with a spinal injury, if those of you didn't know. But hopefully he's off to a speedy recovery and we get to see him back soon. But what I wanted to highlight from that game was the hits. You got Juju Smith-Schuster, who's a receiver, takes out Montez Burfict, and he also did get carted off. And I don't know. I mean, there was taunting, there was fights. Like, is the NFL just moving completely away from the normal gameplay / the trash talk that comes with the game? I mean, it just seems like the game is just losing its value.
Yeah, it seems like, yeah, exactly. I think you hit the nail on the head with that, is in the sense that back in the day, in the classic days of football, it was never, of course you had your trash talk and whatever else, and some of the old guys would say they had the best trash talk, but they didn't go as far as to starting brawls on the field and just dumb stuff like that where they're purposely hurting players. You know what I mean? It was all you spoke, you talked your trash on the field, sure, but ultimately you were speaking your mind, and you were showing your dominance by how you play and
exactly.
If you're winning.
173 penalty yards, which, by the way, set a franchise record for the
Bengals,
Cincinnati
yeah.
Bengals.
Yeah.
But what is this? Like, what is the sport coming to? I mean, are people being brought up to look for violence? Like, I don't understand why the all of a sudden change and where people are looking to fight rather than just beat them on the field.
Right. Yeah.
It's just
it was a sloppy game altogether, with the sloppiness and the unfortunate injuries that occurred. Obviously, I don't think they were disclosing much more information about the linebacker injury for the Steelers, but Ryan Shazier, sorry, and honestly, it was just a sloppy game in general, just for penalties and 173 yards. You're not gonna. It was hard to watch.
You can't win a game when you have 173
was,
penalty yards. I'm sorry.
It was hard to watch.
You just don't see that happen often. But it seems like a trend. You got the Gronkowski hit on Tre'Davious White. Obviously, now he's in concussion protocol from the league, not even from his team.
Yeah.
So clearly there was an injury there on a boneheaded play by Gronk. I don't know whether he was pissed that he was pushing off, that maybe he was just pissed because the ball was picked off. but you don't be dropping elbows, especially the one that he hurt with the padding on it on another player's head on a rookie, not even a veteran, on a rookie, and seriously could have ended very bad.
Just
very bad.
And not to mention he was out of play, he was down, and the play was dead by that time, and then he comes in and he gives the people's elbow, if you want to call it, to the back of the head. And like you said, now being in concussion protocol with the league, he's not only affecting himself, by committing the hit, and he has a 1-game suspension now, but he could be, risking White's career now or journey back into the game for the rest of the season at least, because if he has a concussion, then he's not going to be back for at least a couple weeks.
And now the Bills lose a starting corner.
Yeah.
And as a rookie, he just picked off Tom Brady.
Yeah.
He just picked off the legendary Tom Brady, and the next thing that happens is he gets an elbow to the head and he has to sit out. I just don't think that that's proper football.
It's just annoying to see. We'll play the video for you now as we're talking, but it's just annoying to see somebody like Gronk who's been in the game for a decent amount of time now, and you would think that he would have, a little bit more etiquette when it comes to that. I know it was kind of getting chippy, which you guys are probably seeing in the video now, but it just, there's no excuse for doing that, and the Patriots and Gronk himself, they don't need, and he doesn't need another excuse for him to not be on the field. You know what I mean?
He's been
with injuries himself, he doesn't need to be suspended for any games. It's
unacceptable.
Just
but
it doesn't make any sense.
But at the same time, though, do you think that 1-game suspension is, if not, do you think it's like what he deserves? Should he get more games, or should it turn to like a game and a fine, or anything along the lines of that?
I think personally, 1 game. I think it should be more than 1 game, but I think the NFL has its way of making sure it's big time players. The NFL took a hit this year with everything that happened with a bunch of their stars, so I think they didn't want to see another star go down,
right?
Even though he made a stupid mistake, and they gave him the 1-game suspension, especially in the state and the moment of the season right now. Personally, I think it should have been more than 1 game, but we're not really making the decision, I guess. So
exactly. In a way, the Patriots are in a good spot regardless.
Yep.
It's not like 1 game is going to really put like a damper on their season. They're a great team regardless of Gronk. I just think that he could have easily avoided this.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
But it seems as if fighting is the topic of this show tonight, because Crabtree and Talib.
Yeah.
Last year, if everyone remembers, pulls his chain off. They got into a little tussle, nothing big. Tension was rising. They actually faced off again this year. Talib did the exact same thing, ripped Crabtree's necklace again.
Yep.
But as you saw, it got into a lot more than just pulling his necklace.
Yeah.
Like, they were throwing fists, number 1. Number 2, the whole entire bench cleared, and everyone was getting tossed and hit. And it like I said before, it's just taken away from the actual gameplay of the game.
Absolutely.
People are more worried
especially when the whole team's getting involved.
People are more worried about defending themselves rather than what's best for the team. And I just think that maybe the NFL is like losing a little bit. There's more fights than I've ever seen.
As entertaining as a fan and like a spectator it is to everybody who watches like a baseball game, like it gets exciting when the bench is clear for like a little bit of a brawl, because you don't see it very often. But so like that appeal is there, but very little, and now it just seems like to be happening so much that it's not even exciting and like entertaining for us for the short period of time when it happens anymore, because it's just happening so frequently. And I'll play the clip for you here, just of what was going on between those two.
Oh, we have a fight on the other side. Look at this. After Crabtree, helmet's being thrown. Talib grabbed it off. Referee is down, and look at holding on to his ribs.
Well, that started with the block. That was Crabtree on Aqib Talib. Remember, there's some history between these two guys, and I think that's really where the fight started. Crabtree actually blocks him, Off
Look
the
we
field.
have another one right here.
Look at this.
Oh, and a swing right
This
there.
is crazy because now you're going to get ejected from the game. I mean, this is just selfish. When your own self-interest are more important than the team, then you put yourself and your team at risk. And that's terrible. You just can't do it. You got to exercise some self-control.
As you can see, just ridiculous right there.
Yeah.
Like they were running all over the field, literally throwing complete right hooks, left hooks.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure Talib even connected on one
I think so.
with Crabtree not having a helmet on, so there could have been risk for an injury there. So, I mean, what is the NFL turning to? Like, it's just ridiculous that all these fights are breaking out, and it's just not what football is.
Yeah,
at
I
all.
agree. And do you think 2-game suspension for them is enough? Similar situation to Gronk?
I'd have to say it is a similar situation to Gronk. Obviously, to a certain extent, they should get one more game than Gronk because they were literally fighting.
Yeah.
Now, for the Broncos, that's just okay. Keep the leaves out for 2 games, and they're not going anywhere. But for Oakland, Crabtree is one of their star receivers, and now you have to go down the playoff stretch and try to clinch a playoff berth without one of your best targets. Now, they have other guys, but no one can replace the caliber of Crabtree. So, I mean, I guess we'll see how it turns out. I mean, this could be a really big blow for this Raiders team.
And do you think, if this scenario were to have, happened maybe early on in the season, maybe let's just say the first game of the season, do you think the suspension would have been raised from 2 games?
Honestly, yes, because if you're coming into the season, first game, and you're fighting already, I just don't think you want to have that player in the league for that time. Clearly, he's got to figure some stuff out, and I think that the suspension would definitely be.
So you think postseason, end of the seasons, maybe has something to do with it?
Postseason's a little different because the NFL's got to take into consideration that it is a playoff. It is playoff time.
Yeah. Coming up to that point.
Honestly, did they deserve the 2 games? Absolutely, without a doubt.
Yep.
But they kind of take into consideration that if you suspend one of their star receivers for the rest of the season, obviously it's his fault. But you can't destroy a team who's been actually playing decently well all year.
Right.
For one bonehead incident.
Moving on now to topic number 2, we're gonna dive into the NBA scene here. I guess keeping with the trend, maybe some stupidity and just over-aggression with the Golden State Warriors. I want to talk about. This is the team that's often put on the highest pedestal in the NBA. The team, one of the most popular teams not only in the U.S. here but also around the world. A lot of people know them because of how great they are.
Literally
but do you think Do you think, a team like this should be acting the way they have been lately? And I have a stat here that the Warriors are actually have been averaging the most technical fouls over the past couple seasons in the NBA. And this year they're leading the NBA in technical fouls per game, and they're averaging almost 1 a game, 0.9, which is pretty ridiculous. It's pretty much like saying, hey, we're going out, we got a game tonight, who's going to get a technical tonight?
Exactly.
And with players like Draymond Green, which I'm sure you were about to mention, and then Kevin Durant, I think, picking up his 3rd or 4th just the other night with his scuffle with DeMarcus Cousins, which we'll play right now while we're talking. Do you think, what do you think about it? You think they should be acting a different way? They're the role models of basketball teams.
Honestly, they're literally the face of the NBA. No one can argue against that. This team is unreal.
Yeah.
You got players who can shoot, you got players who can drive, and you got aggressiveness. Draymond, he gets aggressive. Sometimes too aggressive, which ends in a technical foul.
Right.
But it's part of the sport. But no team should have this many technical fouls coming into a season. Not only that, but carrying it over from last season. You think maybe since they have a target on their back, they maybe learn a little bit more how to control themselves.
Yeah.
Building off that, Kevin Durant, easily one of the best players in the league right now.
Yep.
And I think him picking up that many technical fouls is just showing that because of the decision he made and the fact that they did win a championship, people are getting in his head.
Yeah, I was about to ask if you think some of the
it's like come to the point where no matter who he plays, someone's mentioning that move.
Right.
And now it seems as if everyone's going after Kevin Durant. And I feel like that's transitioning into him playing more aggressive to defend himself, but also not knowing when to stop.
And it's costing himself, his reputation, rather, and his team, too.
It's starting to really get out of hand in the sense that he's picking up all these technical fouls.
Yeah, it's something that clearly hasn't been affecting them too much because obviously still one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NBA right now. But it's just something sad to see from a spectator's perspective, and I just hope they clean it up soon and get their stuff together.
Now, on the other hand, we got the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Yep, and another powerhouse
riding a 13-game winning streak coming into last night's game against the Pacers, looking to break that record. Unfortunately, they fell short by only a couple points, 4-point loss to the Pacers. I mean, what kind of team can they be? Like, they have the depth, they have the stars.
Yeah, especially with the moves they've made.
They can make some noise, and this 13-game win streak is a little sneak peek on what they can do this year.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I mean, it's not the biggest win streak that we've seen by any means, obviously.
And it's still early in the season.
Right, it's still very early, and any win streak is important, And any team that can go, with a 5-game winning streak here and a couple losses, they're going to be in great contention for the postseason coming towards the end of the season. So to win 13 in a row is definitely a statement, right? And it has a lot to do with who's been playing, the way they've been playing together. And, it brings up an interesting point where, you talked about the depth. And Derrick Rose, obviously not being the starting point guard for the Cavs, he actually was just out for a couple weeks with a bit of a mental breakdown kind of scenario. And he's just making his return. I believe last night's game was his first game back after having this issue. And they picked up a loss. So do you think, did it maybe mess with the mojo of the team, the chemistry with the team now that he's back? And do you see it maybe potentially being a problem going forward now?
I mean, losing a player always is going to put a hit on team chemistry, especially for an issue like this.
Right.
Where it was personal things that he had to deal with. He's had a lot of injuries going on. I just think that his head's not fully there, and which makes me question when he does come back,
right.
Is he going to be the same player that we know he could be?
It seemed like they had great success. I mean, He's been out for 2 weeks. They won 13 in a row, and he wasn't part of it. So does that say something about him? Does that say something about the team?
Now, when people talk about that, do you bench him? Do you take away minutes? Because if clearly he's not right, he's not himself.
Yeah.
Clearly, there's certain things that he has to deal with still. Would that transition into him playing differently, getting different times when he's in the game? If not, do you just bench him completely because you've been riding a 13-game win streak without him, and then all of a sudden he comes back and you lose?
Yeah, it's. I know, from going over the game, they had a bit of a cold start at the beginning, and it was only a 4-point loss, so it wasn't like it was a blowout. They were in it. But it's just, it doesn't seem very professional for somebody to just take a leave of absence, what I mean?
Absolutely. Especially a player.
Even though it's a sport and people see it as, it's just, having fun, it's still a profession and it's still a business. And just for a 2-week, absence like that, I don't think it was the best thing for him to do. I think he should, face some repercussions, obviously with playing time. And, I mean, I'm sure... the whole organization will take that into account going forward. But
let's just say tonight in their game, I don't think LeBron's accepting another loss. So,
yeah, I don't think so.
I mean, this team is too good to be throwing games away this early in the season. And listen, with that depth, getting Isaiah Thomas back later in the year, they are about to do some damage.
Yeah, and with the best player at the helm of the team,
best player guiding the way.
Yeah.
I think the Cavs have very little to worry about. Speaking of absence, though, where has OKC's big three been?
It's a really great question.
Another loss last night. They are now 11-13, ninth in the Western Conference, which puts them completely out of the playoffs.
Right.
I mean, granted, it is. If the playoffs
Very
were to start
early.
today, they would be on the outside looking in.
Right.
But tell me something. They've spent all that money to bring all those stars there to keep Russell in his town.
Yeah.
And they're off to a
It's just
very,
surprising
very
because
poor start.
obviously, starting a couple years or a couple seasons ago with the move of KD and whatever else, and they're Westbrook and KD really being the big faces at it in OKC, and last season, OKC was even better than this year, I think, and they didn't have the acquisition of Carmelo Anthony from the Knicks or Paul George. These are big guys, especially Paul George and Russell Westbrook being in their prime right now. It's unacceptable to me it's understandable to have maybe only a couple of games over 500 or something like that, but to be 2 games under 500 right now, not even in the playoff picture, even though despite it being early, it just doesn't make sense to me, and it brings up the question are big name superstars like this, are they able to work on the same team? Is chemistry really that important?
Honestly,
because the skill's there. It's not a question about that.
I do, because you had Carmelo, who had his own team.
Yeah.
When KD left, Russ had his own team. The ball always ends up in their hands. Now you got all 3 of them. Paul George, star for Indiana. Now all 3 of them are on the same team. They gotta find a way to spread the ball between the 3 of them, or else it's not gonna work. But not only is team chemistry the issue, you got a guy in Paul George who last year came out and said, "I want to be a Laker."
Yeah.
Literally said those words to his team. Coincidentally, he gets traded elsewhere just for the 1 year of his contract. Now, do you think, due to the poor start, does he try to request a trade midway through, or is his mind just completely out of it, which accommodates to the poor start that they have?
I don't know if he's necessarily thinking, look at the way that we've started this season, together, and just immediately want, to get out. But I definitely think it's in the back of his mind. I had other options, and this is, what went through and whatever else. But it's definitely in the back of his head. But could it be affecting his play? I don't know.
Those are questions we can't really answer.
Right.
But
they've all 3 of them had their games.
You got to think that something like that could potentially have an impact on the way the team is playing.
Yeah.
Like I said, early season, teams get hot, teams get cold. The only thing we could do is wait and see what happens. And for their sake, I hope they do well. They're great players. I hope they can turn it around. I guess we'll just have to see.
It'll be interesting to see going forward how they bounce back and continue. Next topic, not regarding NBA specifically, but definitely basketball in mind, and with the man himself, LeVar Ball, who seems to be dominating social media and on all different platforms, politics, sports. Seems like TV. Seems like he's got it all here, and recently just pulling his son LiAngelo from UCLA completely, as well as the youngest son LaMelo out of high school, who's now going to be homeschooled. What do you think about this?
Honestly, I don't agree with his move. These kids had the life. They were all committed to UCLA by their freshman year of high school.
Yeah.
All 3 of them. And now all of a sudden you're taking the education away from your youngest one, who he's not even letting finish high school.
Yeah.
Not to mention, LiAngelo kind of had a little altercation in China. Everyone knows he was arrested for stealing.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean you pull the kid out of college. You go to school to learn how to fix those things and become a better person yourself.
It's just the learning process.
It's the learning. Yeah, it's all a learning process, and
you get that by going.
I understand that LiAngelo, from doing some research, was not going to get a lot of playing time, almost barely any minutes.
Yeah, he hadn't even played in a game yet.
But at the same time, just because your son's not getting minutes doesn't mean you got to pull him off the team. I just think that he could have done something else to kind of ease the situation a little bit. Like Lonzo, he's playing for the Lakers. He's doing well. He seems to be humbled, and but then again, this is these kids' father. They look up to him, they're not going to disrespect him. They're going to do what he says because in the end, it's their dad.
Yeah.
Which is a part of this that you can't go wrong with.
We actually have a video of Lonzo talking about the situation, so we'll let you guys watch that real quick.
We didn't get a chance the other day to ask you what you thought about LiAngelo not being at UCLA anymore.
I mean, I think it was a good decision. You know, I talked about it as a family. You know, we all came to agreement that that was the best thing for him.
Did you have input, having been at UCLA and kind of gone through that process yourself?
Well, I've been at UCLA, but I didn't go through what he's going through.
Right.
You know, it's tough, and you know, leaving whether he plays or not in their hands. You know, you're just waiting here. You know, just sitting around. So, just time to take action, and that's what we did.
Do you expect that your brothers will both be overseas at some point soon?
I mean, if they're over there, you know, I wish them the best, and if they do go, you know, it'll be a family decision.
Yeah, so it seems like he didn't really want to say too much about the topic, but
And I don't blame him.
yeah, I mean, but what he was saying
Yeah.
was it was the decision of the family. They said it was a family decision. I don't really believe that it was a whole family decision. I think the LeVar, the father, had obviously the biggest impact on that, and it just seems to me, from my perspective, is that he's taking control of them so much, and it seems like he's trying to live his life vicariously through his three sons, and it's kind of sad to see. You know?
In the same way, though, he looks up to his kids because they have the talent.
Yeah.
So he sees potential in them, which is why he acts the way he does. Am I saying it's the right way to act? No, not at all.
Right.
But he does have good intentions.
Yeah, his intentions are there.
He just needs to know how to kind of present it in the best way possible.
It's positive, but it's too positive to the point where it's kind of it's implanting a chip on these kids' shoulders to the point where they think that, you know, everything revolves around them almost. And, you know, I like his positivity and I like his confidence in his sons, but it just comes to a point where he might be hated, and it might not matter if, you know, he knows that people don't like him. But
Exactly.
But it's starting to come to the point where people are disliking the ball kids because of his dad, and that's affecting, you know, in Lonzo in the NBA. If he gets his shot blocked at any time or anything bad is happening, you know he's going to get chirped by somebody on the other team.
Exactly.
It's been happening.
And all these kids are
always will.
talented. They have careers
Of course. Yeah.
if they could stay on the right path.
Yeah.
So I mean, I guess it's just up to time now. We're gonna have
It'll be interesting to see.
We have to wait, see how LeVar handles himself with now LiAngelo and LaMelo out of school.
Yeah.
How he handles Lonzo in his career, and see if some positive buzz can come around that family, because for the most part it's all been close to negative.
Yeah, the only thing that really can come out of this now is I think they said something about just training for the NBA and that's it. So
Yeah.
I don't know if somehow they're going overseas with LaMelo. I don't know what the plan is with that, but just figured a big basketball topic, and LeVar Ball and the whole Ball family seem to be popping up on every other news station, you know, whether it's sports or politics related. So why not talk about them on our first podcast? I feel like that's pretty fitting.
Hey, it's a pretty hot topic at this point.
Yeah, definitely. So moving on, diving into Major League Baseball here. First big topic, and officially receiving the information that he had signed with the Angels, is the big Japanese star Ohtani, and Shui Ohtani. And what do you think about his expectations and him requesting all these different things from these teams, and
honestly
pissing off orgs pretty much is what it seemed like.
Honestly, he knew where he wanted to go. He shut down the Yankees. He shut down the Red Sox, one of the two historic franchises in MLB history. And now he's going to LA. He was requesting all these things. Apparently the kid's a stud. So I think him being on a team which he was quoted saying he wanted to be a leader, which joining a team that has the man called Mike Trout, is a little hard to be the leader of that team. But I do think them two together can really, really make some noise in that AL. And
which brings up,
let's look out for him.
A couple interesting points is his whole expectations were, and requests rather, not really expectations, were he wanted to be the face of the franchise.
Yeah.
And with New York, he's not going to be the face over Judge, after especially last season.
Or even Didi.
And right, exactly. But he also didn't want to have a Japanese star on the team either. So no wonder why the Yankees didn't work Tanaka and Judge. You're not going to pass them. So.
And I mean, at the same time, this kid apparently pitches like Severino, which is averaging around 97, 99 miles an hour, and is quoted to be hitting like Cespedes. Now, being in the AL, clearly he doesn't get the opportunity to hit all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But now one question is, do the Angels let him hit for himself? Do games where he doesn't pitch, is he going to be playing the field somewhere, maybe stick him at first base or DH? I mean, there's so many things that you could do with this kid, and if he is truly what people are saying he is, we have a very, very talented player on our hands coming up in this season.
Right. I mean, it's been said that it's like the next Babe Ruth in the sense that he could pitch as great as he can and can hit. So just you would think he would go to an NL team where that wouldn't be a problem. He wouldn't have to. The managers wouldn't have to worry about anything. But the Angels are where he landed, and I can't say it's exciting. As a fan of baseball. Even though I would have liked to have seen him, go to the Yankees, because it'd be cool to have a great player go to them, being both of us as fans. But at the same time, I'm kind of happy he didn't, because if somebody has that many requests and he hasn't even played in a Major League Baseball game yet,
I mean,
didn't rub me the right way.
No one's seen him play live, so I mean, hey, anything can happen, and. Yeah. Definitely wish him the best of luck in LA. I'm really excited to see the Trout Ohtani combination, and I'm really excited for the season. I mean, and on top of it, Yankees just got a new manager.
Right.
Aaron Boone, the legendary Aaron Boone.
Yeah. We all know
Tim Wakefield yard in that playoff game.
We all know the big game where Aaron Boone had found a lot of his fame, if you want to call it. And then he obviously became a member of ESPN and did his thing there. So becoming the manager, the first thing I did when I got the notification and heard about it myself was I actually called my dad up. And I just asked him, I was like, do you think this is a good idea? It wasn't something that I expected. I mean, we had heard words of...
No, we've heard, there was rumors, surrounding Aaron Boone being the potential option.
We heard A-Rod, we heard
Beltran.
Yeah.
And to be honest, any of those guys really, I think...
Rob Thompson, the bench coach.
I think really could have done a great job just because they're former players. They've played for the team. They know the organization. But, I mean, this guy's been in the seat for how long now? And he already... Breaking news today, for those who didn't know.
Yeah.
Giancarlo Stanton is now in pinstripes.
Pretty exciting, yeah.
So, I mean, you got a new manager.
Yep.
Now you got a second power hitter who... you got the top two home run leading hitters on the team now from last season.
Yeah.
I mean, what else can this guy do to honestly bump up this team, to make them take the next step? I mean, what else can he do?
A very exciting time for him to step in, especially coming off of such a successful season last season.
Where the Yankees weren't even projected
where it was supposed to be a rebuilding season is what a lot of people would refer to it as, and then look, we were a game away from making the World Series. So it couldn't have been a better time for him to step in. I wish Girardi the best. Obviously, I think he did a great job.
Absolutely.
Obviously, he won the championship in 2009. And it wasn't necessarily, from my perspective as a spectator, that he did anything wrong to an extent. Obviously, there were plays here and there where maybe he had made the wrong decisions.
I think it was just his time to go, though, at the same time.
And he had been there for a decent amount of time now, and it was time for the organization to get a a new look, new perspective, and they wanted a guy that was more of a clubhouse guy.
Right.
And obviously we know the Yankees being an analytical team, but a lot of the time from what I heard was when players, would want to go to somebody, they wouldn't go to Joe, they wouldn't go to Girardi, they would go to the bench coach, Rob Thompson, and now he's gone, and he was in the running. He was what I thought, maybe should have been one of the front runner, right?
Due to him being around the team for all these years, making that special connection that every coach wants to have with their player.
Yeah.
And I think what you said, like, players were going to him, players trusted him, and that's important with a
young group of guys
team, especially with the Yankees because they're so young.
Yeah.
They need that mentor in their life, and someone like Rob Thompson, who's now gone.
It's with the Phillies now.
Best of luck to him.
Yep.
But with him gone, I mean that's a heavy hit on the Yankees bench.
Yeah.
Which I don't see it posing a huge problem. But you could probably early on in the season you're definitely going to notice a difference between the players, how they're not going to be as upbeat, every day, like ready to go. Like Rob Thompson got him ready because everyone was friendly with him. He was always easy to talk to.
And with a young team like that, it's important for the players to have an option for somebody to talk to. Obviously, veteran players are great for that, but it's nice to have a manager or some kind of coach for the players to be able to do that too as well. And he was that role, and unfortunately, I don't know if not getting the head coaching job maybe had anything to do with him moving on to the Phillies now, and he's taking over the bench coach job over there now. But I personally thought he was the front runner in it. I was a little surprised to hear that he didn't get it, but also was very surprised to hear that he was, parting ways with the Yankees as a whole. But like you said, we definitely wish him the best. I'm sure he'll be great over there. He's a great guy, and obviously the players like him a lot. So I'm sure I won't see much different things over with the Phillies. So
exactly, and I think losing their bench coach obviously was a big hit on the Yankees, but I mean we got to look at the team as a whole.
Yeah.
Like this team, on paper, can seriously do some damage in this league this year.
Yes.
And with the acquisition of Stanton, hopefully Judge, continues his dominance in the league. Obviously, last year was unreal. Like he was completely outdoing himself.
Yeah.
Now, whether he does half of that or mimics the same performance, I do think the Yankees, with all their talent. Now, Castro leaving is a blow.
Right, that's what I was going to bring up.
Castro leaving is a blow.
Yeah.
Because now you got to bring up a young guy or you got to trade for another player, which could potentially start. Now you're going to lose prospects. You're going to be losing players again. I mean, you got to just find the right fit. But like I said, coming into the new season in April, May, spring training, March even, if teams start working out, and then the Yankees are going to be a force to be reckoned with. And
on paper,
I think
for sure.
I think they could do some damage to this league.
It's like you said, it's definitely a blow because I really enjoyed, and I think he did an excellent job at second.
Following the footsteps of Robinson Cano.
Obviously we had Cano there, Jeter being replaced by Didi, which I think arguably, maybe a lot of people may not agree with me, but I think under the table, I think that Didi is probably the best player on the Yankees right now, despite Judge's amazing performance his rookie year.
I think all around you have to hand it to Didi for his performance last year because he put that team on his back when Judge was cold.
But you're with the the leaving of Castro and the acquisition of Stanton, you're losing a 314-ish average hitter for a lifetime 250, 260 guy. I mean, granted, he hit 59 home runs last year, so you're going to definitely be getting a plus in the power department.
With that Yankee Stadium short porch,
right?
He could definitely do some damage in that park.
And just thinking of let's just throw together a mock lineup right now, just based on paper. Just listen to how lethal this sounds. Let's say Brett Gardner starting, and he'll be in the one hole, right?
Center field.
Center field, Brett Gardner in the one spot. Following up, Judge, maybe hitting 3 will be Didi. Cleanup, Stanton. 5 is Sanchez. 6 is Greg Bird, if Greg Bird can be the person that we want him to be.
Another great player. If he continues what he did last year, he would be a perfect spot for the 6, especially
one through
a guy
6.
like Sanchez.
1 through 6, and even Hicks gets his bat going a lot.
Hicks, you could
Headley can get in there, but 1 through 6, without a doubt, there's no way to pitch around that.
No.
How do you pitch around six guys that can damage you? You know, it's just on paper it seems like it's going to be a great year, so it'll be exciting to see
now,
for sure.
I think off of what you said about Greg Bird, I think he is going to be the difference maker this year, because throughout the year, people are going to be hot and cold and very, very well we've seen that with Judge and Stanton.
Yeah.
So come a time during the year where those two are struggling. You know, Sanchez has his struggles. Now you need someone to look to. When 2, 3, 4, 5 aren't hitting, you got to look at the 6 hitter.
Yeah.
Greg Bird had a tremendous postseason. Battled a lot of injuries all last year, or else I would have loved to see his total season numbers.
I mean, even in spring training,
He was
really
ripping
exploded,
the cover off the ball.
Yeah.
But I do think the Yankees are going to come down to how Greg Bird plays.
I think so too. He's in one of the 2 spots really where I think the Yankees are not struggling but are looking for an answer.
Shaky, you know.
So it's between third base and first base. If Greg Bird can be the guy that the Yankees know he can be and that we've seen him be, and you know, especially in spring training and the during the postseason this past season, I think it'll be great, and I think he has the skill and he has that silky smooth swing. He's just at the plate and in the field. I didn't see any problems in the field. He seemed like he was great.
Solid glove.
Yeah, honestly, I think between it is though obviously still in a situation where third base and first base are going to be the biggest question mark for the Yankees organization right now. And for third base, talking about that more specifically now, do they sign Todd Frazier again? Even though he's a very pricey, guy to keep there, but a great team guy, a great teammate.
Always cheering on his buddies,
whether
he's having a bad game or not.
I think he was a big part in sparking the Yankees and the fans.
Role
honestly.
in the chemistry because that whole thumbs down thing started because of him.
Yep.
Then everyone started doing it, and then now there's shirts out, there's memorabilia.
It's getting the fans back into it and the team back into it, and it's starting to feel like the old school Yankees that every fan used to really love.
Now you brought up a point before about how do they re-sign Todd Frazier? Do they re-sign
what to do with Headley? What to do with Ellsbury as well? Not to mention
now
still on the block. Yeah.
To my attention, after this next season, we got 2 big time free agents coming up in the names of. I think you know this guy, Bryce Harper.
Oh, yeah. I think
the Orioles' third baseman, Manny Machado.
Yeah.
Now, with all the talent we literally just got from Giancarlo Stanton, do you see the Yankees potentially going after one of those 2 players in the near future? And, hey, if it's Machado, then that third base struggle or carousel that's been going around, that's solved. That's done.
And he's another big bat too there as well.
You have to give up some parts,
of course,
in exchange. But in the end, you could see one of those guys in pinstripes.
It's interesting you brought up Bryce Harper because obviously it's a rumor and a thought that's been going around the league and throughout the fan base and whatever for a couple of years now. But with the move of Castro and the acquisition of Stanton. There's a statistical, I'm not sure exactly what the number is, but financially there was a way to now, because of that move being made, and maybe one little move here or there, financially the Yankees wouldn't suffer from the luxury tax if they were to acquire Bryce Harper next season. So I don't think personally, if they do, it would be an absolute miracle, I would have to say.
That would be.
They're not going to get both Machado and Harper.
Oh no,
that doesn't seem like it's possible.
It's just that I don't. I
as
think
cool as that would be.
If that were to happen, I think the league would definitely have to shut that down.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
If they got both of them, I just don't think that team would be like fair.
Right.
Honestly.
But the realistic option, obviously they're both a very realistic option, but the thing I think I would be most excited about would be getting Bryce Harper on the team, and now that financially that idea is not out the window and it's still there, is exciting. And
it's very exciting. It's a very exciting time for the Yankees as well as the fans because they're back. They're young, they're talented, and they're hungry.
Yeah.
Aaron Boone, as soon as he got sworn in as manager, said, "I want to win championships."
Yeah.
And trust me when I tell you, the team that he has right now,
he doesn't have a better shot than what he has right now.
It's very possible to take away a championship in this next season. Now, injuries happen. People struggle. Am I completely going out saying predicting the Yankees are going to win the World Series? No, but it's back to the smash mouth baseball. Yankees, Red Sox, top of the AL East.
Yep.
Both teams, very good teams. Now it's going to be interesting to see that rivalry heat back up.
Yeah, and like we were mentioning, getting the fans back into it with Frazier did a hell of a job doing that, and now I miss the 2003, 2002 Yankees Red Sox rivalry. I miss the old times. I miss just watching it, even though we were super young when that time was around. It was just something that got me so into it and invested.
To look forward to during a baseball game because you knew they weren't going to always like full on fight like we were talking about before.
Right.
But you knew that
games were going to be
chirping.
Yeah.
The games were going to be close.
Yeah.
The games were going to be long. That 18-inning one.
Yeah.
I mean, and these teams right now, the way that these two teams are set up, personnel wise, it could get back to that. And I'm very excited to see how this next season ends up. Yeah. Because it's going to be a wild one. That's all I'm gonna end on.
We have
it's going to be a wild MLB season this year.
I couldn't agree more. We have a little bit of a clip here just with the interview with Aaron Boone after officially getting the jersey and becoming manager. So take a look at that real quick.
Thank you, Bob. So, Aaron, you just had your first press conference as a New York Yankee manager. Is this all a whirlwind? I mean, a month ago, you were a very distinguished broadcaster.
It has been. The last few days, especially Michael, have been crazy. But I keep telling my wife almost every day as the last three days have unfolded and all the text messages coming in. But I've started on the job. And so starting to collaborate with Cash, having different conversations with guys in the organization, having started to reach out to players and stuff, I've loved it. And it's been a lot, but I feel like it's energized me a little bit. And we got a lot of work to do, obviously, ahead of spring training, but I feel like I've hit the ground running.
Aaron, take me back to that conversation with Brian Cashman when he told you, you are our guy, we want you to manage the New York Yankees. Can you describe your reaction when you heard that?
Yeah, so I was driving home with my daughter from school, and we basically pulled into the driveway, and I got off the phone, and he said, just first want to make sure you're all in, but my recommendation to ownership is going to be that we focus solely on you. And it was overwhelming. It was exciting. And the cool thing about it, though, when I got off the phone, I immediately felt like, let's get to work. And it immediately kicked up Cash and I's relationship to where now we're talking on the phone all the time, going over different things, starting to try and put together a coaching staff. Excuse me. So it was overwhelming in some senses, but it really locked me in and said, all right, it's time to get to work.
Yeah, so like we said 1,000 times, it seems like it's exciting. He seems like he's happy and just psyched to get the season going, and I think it's going to grant the Yankees with a fresh start and a fresh new outlook on the season and the team in general. And despite their success last year, I think hopefully, knock on wood, it can only bring more success to the team and the organization in general in this upcoming season. And
very exciting season of baseball.
I can't wait. Can't wait for the season
to
begin.
New guys, new teams. People different places, people traveling, new managers. It's gonna be exciting.
And I'm sure on the following episodes of the show, we'll get into more stuff with the Yankees and baseball in general.
Definitely going to keep you guys updated on anything that goes on the MLB, the NBA, literally all sports.
So thank you guys so much for tuning in to episode 1 of the CC Sports Show, and just be sure to tune in next week. Thanks,
Hope you guys enjoy.
Have a good one.